Yo, what's up? What's good? Welcome into the show. I'm Chase Sr., and this is the 49ers Report. Here's what's coming up. We're going to take a look at a grouping of teams who could be in the running for Brandon Aiyuk according to betting odds. We're going to pass along some reporting on the Aiyuk front as far as teams who are interested in his services, and also take a look as part of this at some potential trade destinations. First, if you want the Niners to re-sign Brandon Aiyuk, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. If not, I want you to comment why. Get involved. We always love hearing from all of you right here on the Niners Report. As for the betting odds for Aiyuk's next team, if it's not the San Francisco 49ers, Pittsburgh Steelers leading the way at plus 350. The Jacksonville Jaguars, surprisingly, second best odds to land Aiyuk at 6-1. The Colts plus 650. The Commanders plus 850. The Los Angeles Chargers at 9-1 odds, and then the New England Patriots at plus 950. Why the Steelers lead the charge, according to the odds makers, throughout this offseason, it's been Pittsburgh who has had the most rampant interest in Aiyuk, and there's been so much reporting from a lot of Steelers reporters in Pittsburgh's pursuit of Aiyuk, but clearly the Niners haven't received a trade offer that would force them into making a move. And Pittsburgh wants and needs another wide receiver. They have George Pickens, an emerging player who was stellar at Georgia, but they traded away their number 2 in Deontay Johnson to the Carolina Panthers. They did draft Roman Wilson, but I think he's more of a slot receiver as compared to an outside guy. Outside of those two receivers, Pittsburgh's a little bit light. Calvin Austin, Van Jefferson. They signed Quez Watkins, a former Eagle, in NFL free agency. They have Marquez Callaway. But if you put Aiyuk on this team, he becomes their number 1. George Pickens becomes their number 2. They have a good run game. They've improved the offensive line. They have a really good defense. It makes Pittsburgh a very interesting team in the AFC. And we stick in the AFC. Why the Jags make sense. Remember earlier this offseason, there were multiple reports that Aiyuk and his camp had interest in Jacksonville, and then Jacksonville had some interest in Aiyuk. The Jaguars lost Calvin Ridley in free agency when he signed that surprising deal with the Tennessee Titans, giving him $23 million per year. That was the first domino to fall, which really led to the wide receiver market exploding this offseason on numerous occasions because Ridley got 23. And that in turn increased the price tag for other receivers who were seeking no deals. And if Aiyuk went to Jacksonville, no state income tax, he could save a lot of money as compared to California and the Bay Area. That is for sure. Indianapolis Colts. If you think about what Aiyuk would bring that team, he'd be their number 1. Michael Pittman, who they signed to a contract extension, would slide down to being their number 2. They re-signed Jonathan Taylor, who's one of the best running backs in the game. Shane Steichen is an ascending young offensive mind in this league who, in year 1, with Gardner Minshew as the Colts starter, they were a win away from winning the division. Instead, it was C.J. Stroud and D'Amico Ryans who won Week 17. And the Colts would want to bring in Aiyuk to pair him alongside Pittman, Taylor, Steichen in the headset for Anthony Richardson, and then the Colts become an interesting team as they look to build around Richardson while he's on that rookie contract. The Commanders, we've talked a lot about Washington here. You have the Adam Peters, Jaden Daniels dynamic. Adam Peters has familiarity with Aiyuk. He was the assistant general manager for the Niners. John Lynch hired him as part of the front office in 2017 when Lynch and Kyle Shanahan took over the Niners organization and started that rebuild. Jaden Daniels and Aiyuk played with one another at Arizona State. When I was at the NFL Combine, we asked Jaden Daniels, who have you leaned on in the pre-draft process? He said, I talk to Aiyuk every day. When Aiyuk went on the Pivot podcast, he name-dropped the Commanders and the Steelers as 2 teams he'd like to play for if he didn't come back to the Niners. And he said, I'd love to play with Jaden Daniels. He also was on TikTok with Jaden Daniels, infamously, when he said the Niners don't want him back. So they're best friends, and for Washington, try to take advantage of Jaden Daniels being on his rookie contract. And they also have a wide receiver who they could trade, whether that be Terry McLaurin, who's cheaper than Aiyuk, or Jahan Dotson, who's way cheaper than Aiyuk. The Commanders also right now, number 2 in cap space in the NFL. Los Angeles Chargers, also on that list of Aiyuk betting odds. They got rid of Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. Aiyuk would be an ideal number 1 for Justin Herbert. Imagine what they could do. Justin Herbert has a bazooka and a cannon for an arm. Aiyuk last year emerged as a great long ball threat for Brock Purdy. Justin Herbert, an even better long ball thrower. And Jim Harbaugh would love Aiyuk. The toughness, the swagger, the willingness to block. And the Chargers cleared up some money on the cap. New England Patriots. They right now have the most cap space in the NFL. They are bereft at the wide receiver spot. They drafted Drake May. And Aiyuk would be the number 1 wide receiver for Drake May and get paid, as would be the case for a lot of the other teams on that list. A lot more to get to here on today's show. Let's ask you this, though. Where will Aiyuk play in 2024? Will it be with the Niners? Will it be with another team? Let me know down in the comment section right now. The season is quickly approaching. Training camp for San Francisco getting underway on Tuesday. And if you want a San Francisco shirt, get yours today at chatsports.com/SF. The real ones know that during our watch parties, we go crazy. And this has been a staple of our show. Available in red as well as black. We have sent these all around the world. To Australia, over the pond to England, because people love this show and we love you back. Now, the second part of today's show, do any teams want to pay Brandon Aiyuk? Are they willing to pay him $30+ million? Here's this report from Mike Silver of the San Francisco Chronicle. If you're wondering whether another team would pay Aiyuk what he's asking for, there's at least one that would. A front office source for a potential trade partner confirmed that to me earlier this week. Now, Aiyuk is revered league-wide. A lot of people have recognized his ascent, his emergence, his progression, how he's such a great route runner with excellent footwork. Analytically, he had success in running every single route on the route tree. People love his toughness, his durability. He's still young at 26 years old. He's maybe the best run-blocking wide receiver in the NFL. One NFL executive, as part of ESPN's top 10 positional rankings, ranked him as the 3rd best wide receiver in the NFL. Now, some people will balk at that, but what if Aiyuk got true number 1 targets like Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson and CD Lamb and others? His production would take off. It would be insane. But the Niners, since the Christian McCaffrey trade, throw the ball at the 32nd rate in the NFL. And then going back to the New England Patriots, Josina Anderson reported this following the Aiyuk trade request. I'm told within the last couple of weeks, the Patriots reached out to the Niners inquiring about Aiyuk. And again, we were told that the talented wide receiver was not being traded at this time. Despite the trade request, the Niners have no plans to trade Aiyuk, but if they get blown away by an offer, that could change. So you circle back to the next team odds here for Aiyuk. Pittsburgh Steelers for obvious reasons. Jacksonville Jaguars because of the rumblings there. The Indianapolis Colts because they have money and they could use another weapon at wideout. Washington Commanders, Los Angeles Chargers, and the New England Patriots. Regardless of what happens, if Aiyuk reports to training camp, if he signs a new deal, if he gets dealt, if there's another report out there, we have you covered right here on this show, and that's why you hit that subscribe button.